I told Mr. Crud that I'd make a video if he wanted to be in it to put on his happy face. I just did some welding here, and I'm going to ask you a question. If you can figure it out, what do those two nuts do? Those are bolts with nuts welded onto the end. What are they doing in the middle of my trailer? I'll give you a hint. They serve two purposes. This is what they do. They go round and round. What could they do on the back? I'll give you another hint. If I was really sharp, I'd sell t-shirts with what does CW's trailer bolts do at the back of his beaver tail 19-foot trailer. They serve two purposes. One that I intended and one that I didn't realize it does, and it's a good thing. When I drove this trailer back from Longoyland yesterday, every time I'd hit a bump on the beautiful smooth roads, the ramps would shake and wake the dead. Let me tell you, when you hit a bump, these things rattle, clang, bang, and I'm thinking, it's not my fault, it's the bumpy roads. I didn't build this trailer, I just bought it. So I had an idea, and I did it. And I hope it works, which I think it will. What I did was I took some 4-inch long by 1/2-inch 13 thread per inch bolts, and I welded a nut under the angle iron. I drilled a hole, welded a nut, and then I welded a nut onto the end of the bolt because it wasn't quite long enough, and that bolt bears down on the ramp. And then, once I had my height of my bolt set just where I wanted it, I welded a nut onto the top of the bolt, which is the bottom of the bolt, which is now the top. So when I crank this down with my 3/4 inch wrench, like that, my ramp is secure. And then I realized, wait a second, what if I don't have a wrench? You can't take the ramp out of the back. And then I thought, if I don't have a wrench, maybe the guy who wants to steal my ramps doesn't have a wrench. Because you can't get the ramp out because it's locked in, and when it hits the next angle iron over here, it ain't coming out. This ramp is locked in. So that's what I've been doing for part of the afternoon after I finished cutting the grass at one of my properties, and gave the tenant some money to get me gas at the place that sells ethanol-free gas. He comes back, he says, here's your gas. I said, you got the ethanol-free right? He says, no, you didn't tell me to get that. I said, yes, I did. I told you to get the ethanol-free gas. That's why I went to the gas station that was further away, where he went. Anyways, he said, well, it won't hurt anything. I said, yeah, right. Ethanol gas. So that's what I've been doing. I've got some work to do over there. And look at that. On the road again. So, tighten that one down, and the ramp will not wiggle jiggle anymore. Now the only thing I have to figure out is what system to use to lock my ramps in, so if I slip off the ramp because my positive traction causes the back to jiggle wiggle, I need to lock the ramps in. Maybe this has to go further up and I have to slide the ramp in from the side, because otherwise the ramp just falls right off. And I'll show you. A friend of a friend, the guy that is buying that Lotus Elan, this only unthreads, but 2 threads, because the threads are all the way at the top of the nut, which is welded underneath the angle iron. You can actually feel it scraping the paint, my nice paint off, but these used to be loose, now they're somewhat tight. The problem with these ramps is, whoa, this top angle iron, at the very least, should be 6 inches wider both sides, less tendency of this ramp to roll off, because, but that should lock in, and the only way to do that is to have it enter from the side, put the ramps on from the side, so that if you're driving up and you hit the ramp too fast, blah, blah, blah. So those are my thoughts, and that's what I've done today. The other thing I may do once I have the welder here, my trusty Lincoln welder that I've had for 30 years, the other thing I wanted to do was put a little lock here to hold this door open, because when you unload the ramps, you have a tendency to leave the little door like that, and it's easy to walk into it, and it's kind of sharp and kind of flimsy. So something here to retain it, maybe just another loop that they used. They used a loop of chain. Maybe I'll weld one there. And oh yeah, I just mangled that. Maybe this one. Yeah, that one goes further. And that way I can put my little whoozamajingles in. Oh, who are you?
Oh, I'm Stanley.
CRUDD. And I can put one of these right there. And I have less chance of losing one. I don't like things that are loose. Yep. I just mangled the hinge though. I beat it again. Just twisted the crap out of it. Now we have to find a system. The fellow with the Lotus, his friend is a welder. He said he has a system to hold those on, because I don't like that. There's just nothing holding it on. I don't want to put a nut and bolt through it. It's too complicated.
You done with the grinder?
No, I'm going to do a little bit more work. I want to put a loop on here, a chain loop to hold these doors like that, so I don't walk into them, which I've noticed I've done several times. That's today's Trailer 101. I'm not Chucky 2009, but I'm CW. I got too many projects. Shouldn't have started this. Should have been doing something else I had to finish.